We'll do a little spring over here. Do a little flyover of my neighbor mulching his blueberries. It's a crazy warm day coming out of winter, going towards spring here in about North Kakalaki. We're on the west side that recently got affected by Helene. We're still picking up our butts from that. This mulch is from trees, and the stump grinder is from that. All that's from. That's why I mention it. Why we have excessive amounts of dead limbs and mulch and wood to plot and plod with that's got to rot and do something with. Now, the drone in the air I should talk about is the Bwine F7 GB2 drone with its standard battery into it. Have I played around with putting other batteries into it? Now, maybe. Does it scare me? Maybe. Does it work? Hell yeah. Do I recommend it? No, just stick with the normal battery. It isn't worth trying to go for that stand, trying to Velcro and strap something fat on the top. And then worrying about the balance and all that, especially with the Kuga camera. But anyways, I get off kilter. Let's talk about the hovering on this guy. I have played with, flown, piloted, observed, been targeted by many of these flying flappy boys, spinny rotating flappies, drone thingies. And this one is hovering, I say, about mid-grade out of all of them all. It's a good windy day, and it's staying in there. This is real time playing out. You got movement down there to show, not just a steady field. And camera's moving a little bit. Trees aren't bowing. It's trying. Gimbal. I know there's nothing wrong with the gimbal. I have two of these gimbals actually, and I have, just in testing, tried them both, ran in the same lap, and they were just fine. Nothing changed. Propellers all perfectly on tight and fine, flat flush. You can't misseat the battery in this device. It just hovers like that. It just, I think it sacrifices a lot for its foldability. It's compact and it can fold up and it can put into this little travel case. That's neat and cool. But because of that, I'm thinking that it is not that stable in there. Here you see the trees bowing in the wind, and we're trying to shift. Now you can see it's actively fighting the wind now. It's not actually moving over in the air. But it had some actual opposing force where it had to give thrust. It had an event, a real drastic wind event where it had to counter instead of just naturally hovering and slight breezing and stuff like that, trying to get that last 10% of stability, which is what I'm sitting here yapping about. But this drone, all right. I did it's just battery. It flies on a 3S system, 11.7. It floats around. They come as like 27.33 watt hour or 24.33 watt hour batteries. And they're not capable of shooting out a lot of amps or anything like that. This thing's not fast. The DJI Mini flies faster. Also, you don't want to fly it fast, because I'll get to that. But the battery, if you're flying it nice and pretty, trying to get it smooth and trying to get that life out of it for a hover and some looking and surveillance and taking the videos and recording an event or staging something, you are looking about, you're gonna get your 15 minutes on this thing. if you have a longer time where it takes you more than 2 minutes egress and 2 minutes egress to get into your position, maybe not. If you gotta fiddle with it a lot, no. The software on the drone is going to cut the video off in 10-minute segments too, by the way. That's pretty standard from drone to drone. I don't know why a bunch of my drones and have done that. The main one I can compare this potatoes to, that I have hours and hours and miles and kilometers and nauticals of flying versus, is a DJI Mini SE2. And I've flown that and this together at the same time. And when in air, they are compatible, which is a big plus because you worry about cross-container interference of radio signals and what the freak ever. Especially when you just don't have any major information presented to you from the brand. But let me get into the major drawbacks of why I might not be bringing this with me on a trip coming up. It's marketed as a low light camera. I don't give its aperture that good of a low light rating. Sure, it is a little bit noticeable good low light, but it isn't like my quad that I recently have a micro cat 3 on it, low light starlight camera on it, where you're like, wow, that's what darkness looks like. That's what the darkness looks like when you talk into it with camera. I said talking to the darkness. My cat came over here and distracted me. Anywho, night vision on it, or low light, let's not call it night vision, low light on it. Swap over to the range. DJI beats it. Range, hands down. DJI beats it. Is there anything you could do to help with that, or like anything? No. The antennas are foldable little sticky do boys. They're tiny. They look cheap. The controller makes me a little mad. DJI controller also makes me mad, but this one also upsets me. But there's some comebacks on the controller I'll come back to. The zoom in being on the controller is a lot more helpful than the double finger zoom in for the DJI. That's pretty neat. The software for the app that runs the Bwine, how it hooks up through your Wi-Fi interface, and how you view it where you don't have a cord, how the DJI has a cord, it hooks up to it, which makes me feel a lot more, it gets the paranoia out of your head. That just so much better, in my opinion. It's just another thing that can go not wrong. The software, though, for running the Bwine, the app, has a lot more features they build into it, as in route, GPS follow. I don't know if DJI has some of that, and I haven't looked into function programming it, but Bwine presents it to you on the app that you can find when you're like fiddling in the flight with that little dog take off. You can tell it's a little frame skippy, but this is recorded at 4K at 20 frames. It's max quality. I did a lot of recording at the higher frame count and lower quality because I figured 2K 2.7K resolution was plenty enough for when I was viewing, and I wanted a little more frames to throw through dry flow. Did not look the best. I don't know. I personally am a much more fan of how the DJI camera looks. I'm not trying to be a DJI fanboy, but it wins on this one. Stability though, very alright. It's definitely nothing to yap about and complain. It's not horrible. You can definitely film an event. The stability. You have to run through some after software. You'd probably be goosey if you know what you're doing. But this is also a medium wind day, or to no wind at some points. I want to have like a velcroed FPV system on a different spectrum, like the 3000 megahertz band, and have that FPV system mounted to the top of this, and then with the controller test the actual latency from the controller link to the drone, because that's what actually is the number one thing that keeps me from flying this over the DJI, is the feel from the input from the controller to the drone is just so clunky and a little bit delayed. It just needs smoothing, it needs tuning. The controller also has a lot of dead throw room, which is kind of good, but I think a lot of people, I mentioned because I think a lot of people might be like, and it sometimes, to me, it just goes, for how much you have to move it when you're looking for that fine tilt back in. Now, a bitch I can do about both of the controllers is they don't have a lanyard clip like most FPV controllers have, so you can't neck lanyard them. And they don't have like any way to prop them up if you set them down or anything like that. It's just, it's a complaint, but like, I was holding this thing probably 15% of the time while this was recording. And that's how it is most of the time that I am flying this in the woods with my area. I'm operating it in the vicinity of the controls, but I am not at the controls all the time. And if they had a lanyard system, especially on the DJI, and a way to lock stick inputs, golden. But I might be barking up asking too much tree. But I really want to mount a different than 5.8 gigahertz FPV system to the DJI Mini SE2, test its latency, my next project, and have that system be kind of modular and put it on this Bwine F7. That before my trip. This trip I might be bringing this F7 with me. Not quite sure. It's a little big. Batteries are a little slow to charge. Batteries are also single use, so they're only for the drone. With the DJI, I have a USB out, and I can also use it for other applications as I charge other drone batteries, like my mini drone batteries. But here, I'll quit yapping, and you guys can enjoy the rest of the vibes. Just chill out. Enjoy your day. Like, subscribe. Peace.